in the entire matter of Sudarshan TV's hate program called UPSC Jihad, the central government's position was the one that stood out and became a news story in itself. Not only was the central government seen defending the free speech of hate news television Sudarshan TV's hate news program, they went a step further. Many people will call this shifting of goalposts, where the center now tells the Supreme Court that digital media is spreading venomous hatred and is involved in deliberate instigation of violence and terrorism. This is what the government has told the Supreme Court today. They're saying that the court should regulate web-based media first. The government also suggested that the court should leave it to Parliament to decide on rules for electronic media. I'm quoting what the affidavit of the central government said in the court. They said, and I quote, "There is absolutely no check on web-based digital media apart from spreading venomous hatred, deliberate and intended instigation to not only cause violence but even terrorism. It is also capable of indulging and tarnishing the image of individuals and institutions. The said practice is, in fact, rampant. If the Supreme Court wants to consider laying down guidelines, then the court must regulate web-based digital media." This is, of course, the government's second affidavit recommending guidelines for digital media in a case related to a private TV news channel, Sudarshan TV, which claims that Muslims are infiltrating into government services. Now, where do you stand on this issue? See, the entire conversation was about regulating or trying to check hate on television news media. And the government now, for the second time in the Supreme Court, has proposed something else. Use this as an opportunity to propose something else. That no, don't worry about TV. The bigger malaise is digital media. I want to introduce our two guests. We've got Prateek Sinha, co-founder of Alt News, and we also have Geeta Bhatt, political analyst. Her views lean towards the RSS and the BJP. Prateek Sinha, do you think that regulating digital media is perhaps a strategy that the government wants to use while facing criticism of not being able to check hate on television media, a medium that it actually controls?
You rightly said that they are changing goalposts. That is what they are doing. Unfortunately for this government, objectivity doesn't matter. I mean, the very reason that people went to court was because there was this organization, which not for the first time, but for the nth time, has targeted a community. And which is why people went to court that, is there a limit to how much one can target the community? But of course, they are changing goalposts. And their aim is not to target, people, there are other petitions in Supreme Court today on behalf of organizations like Op India, etc. Op India is another media outlet which routinely targets minorities. So what they're wanting to do is that they want to target independent media. And that is why they are changing goalposts. They are seeing this as an opportunity to target independent media, that if you're going to ask us to regulate something which targets minorities, and we are also going to try and regulate you. So that is what the central government is trying to do here.
Okay, Geeta Bhatt, would you like to respond to what Prateek is saying? It's the intention behind what is being said is the problem. There is no denying the fact that there is hate spewed on digital media as well. See, that's the nature of the medium. It's free. So anyone can say anything and so far get away with it. Right? But the responsible ones are going to do their journalism responsibly, whether it is TV, radio, or digital media. It's only the rogues that are a problem. But rogues exist everywhere. And they are going unchecked.
Sanketji, I do partially agree with what you are saying. But the fact remains that, especially with the electronic medium, having accessibility so easily everywhere across the globe, and also considering that with the advent of the ICT, with the coming up of the much cheaper technology, it is accessible everywhere. And we have seen at so many times that it is. Let us not just look at just within the ambit of creating news, but also there have been cases where, because of these rumors, there have been attacks considering that somebody is a child lifter and people have lost lives. We have seen it in Assam, we have seen it happening in Maharashtra and so many other places. So it is basically keeping the larger interest of the society in mind. Considering that,
okay,
yes,
Geeta,
I do agree
some
that the balancing of freedom of...
Yes,
Hello?
I want to ask
Yeah.
you an extremely important question. I hope you realize, Geeta Bhatt, that we are talking about the World Wide Web, right? Number one, it is extremely difficult to regulate internet. It is extremely difficult. You try blocking one website, all it takes is one VPN server and that website is up and running. Secondly, how would you categorize which website is a news website and which is not? Say, for instance, the government carries out or brings out a rule that these websites have to register with us. What if someone does not claim to be a news website and then operates a website? Then you will not be able to control. And again, the larger point, the real dirt is on WhatsApp. The real dirt is on social media. Now, here is a government which has not been able to put Facebook on the mat, get Twitter to be accountable. And here we are talking about regulating digital media.
Well, you see, yes, WhatsApp, Facebook, these social media platforms, please do realize that because of these digital news agencies which are present, it is much more easier because of applications like WhatsApp and Facebook, that it is much easier to communicate any news, whether true or false, easily within seconds across the world. And that is why there has to be modalities. I mean, it does not mean that regulating does not mean that there has to be some kind of a restriction in terms of
how would you respond
publishing
then
a news,
with
but
Prateek's
Prateek's
fear as of this moment is that this is nothing but an attempt to target independent media on the web, right? This is nothing but, see, the question was, yeah, Prateek. See, the question, look at the intention. The government was asked questions about Sudarshan TV, television channels program, and it has not once but twice mentioned digital news. No relation. Prateek Sinha.
Yeah. So, number one, the example being quoted here regarding the child kidnapping rumors. Firstly, we need to know that the mob lynchings which have happened because of child kidnapping rumors, they are limited to countries like India and Bangladesh. It is not happening elsewhere. What is the difference between here and there? It is not the regulation of media. In fact, other countries have much more press freedom than India do. What they actually have is better internet digital literacy. So the example that is being quoted here, that is not going to, the child kidnapping rumors are not going to go away because you regulate media. They will be solved only when you introduce more digital literacy in the curriculum. And there has been no attempt whatsoever from either the central government or any of the state governments, irrespective of which political party is in power, to do anything about internet or digital literacy. That is number one. Rumor mongering doesn't go away by regulation, but by more education. And number two, the very fact that they are bringing up this issue of digital media, and what we have seen in the last few days, the number of FIRs that have been filed against people from independent media, including my colleague Zubair, a completely farcical police complaint has been filed against him. Supriya Sharma of Scroll. There are so many people against independent journalists against whom, or journalists belonging to independent media against whom these cases have been filed. It is very clear what the intention is, and this is one more step in that way. So this excuse that they want to actually regulate rumors does not play out. People in other countries are
okay. Would you like to respond, Geeta Bhatt? Well, that the intention is not to reduce rumors or end them. The intention is to make sure that anyone who's non-compliant or who's non-pliable should be put on the mat. Geeta Bhatt.
Well, Sanket ji, as far as independent, you see, there are all type of people in all type of professions. Even there are many independent journalists who are doing a very good job, but there are many, for example, there is a recent case where an independent journalist has been arrested because he has been charged that he was with some very sensitive papers, defense papers he has been found. You know, it has been on the news yesterday only. So there are all kinds of people everywhere. So trying to, a personal case of a particular news agency, whether that is true or false, that only in the court is going to get proved. It is, you see, the one who has been accused will definitely going to defend him and then say that I am
but then,
innocent.
Geeta, but again,
it is not something where
I
we
don't
are
think
not here to discuss anyone's personal
you're not
case.
answering that
Right.
basic question on the fear as of this moment that this is nothing but an attempt to get at people who are independent as of this moment. You say that there are many independent people, but again, the larger point will remain. This was a matter related to regulating TV news and what accountability the government has as far as channels like Sudarshan TV is concerned. The government has actually defended the rights of Sudarshan TV, the right to free speech, and at the same time, on 2 occasions has brought the quote-unquote malaise of digital media, digital news media. If this is not shifting of goalposts, then what is? That's going to be the big question that we'll continue asking. Thank you very much, Prateek Sinha, as well as Geeta Bhatt.